Alright, so keeping going on this guy, and my decision to put this guy back together, just see what I'm missing, is coming up pretty fruitful. So I got my radiator on, and there's a Marl cooler would sit if I had one. So that's on order, should be here in a few days. Like I could just bypass it, but yeah, don't really want to pump oil all over the place, so when that doesn't seal. Other than that, get my rad hoses on just to mock it up, and miss my thermostat assembly. So that guy would come up, ties in here, and then comes up here, and you got your rad cap that would sit right here. So unfortunately that guy's gone with the wind. So I'll be on eBay shopping again tonight. And I'm gonna start dropping the electronics on it. Did get the clutch put on it as well. And it's kind of halfway adjusted. Good enough, should be to fire it up. So by the time I get gone through these carburetors and put my oil cooler on, I'll probably, I can run without coolant, but just wait on that oil cooler, should be a couple days. So there we go. Okay, next night out here. Just got done going through these carbs. Against all odds, the guy told me that these were a rebuilt set of carbs he paid $400 for off eBay. And lo and behold, he was telling the truth. I pulled these carbs apart just because I always check everybody else's work, and this is without a doubt the best set of carbs that I've ever pulled apart. Nothing was missing, nothing was stripped, not even a bowl screw. Everything was adjusted back to factory setting, which is amazing, saved me a lot of time. Literally the only thing that was in there is just a little bit of residue sitting in the bowls from whatever carb cleaner he'd used, which is totally fine. So I just gave him a little bit of a lube and put them back together. So diaphragms are new, jets are good, everything's working good. Choke assembly is nice and smooth, throttle assembly is good. So gonna go ahead and get these guys thrown on here. Okay, so last night I ended up getting this wiring harness put on here. I got the fuse block up there. Unfortunately, I don't have an ignition switch, so I'm gonna have to hot wire it, which I'm no stranger to doing that, unfortunately. But did spend some time on the wiring last night, late. It's about a 45-minute time lapse of my ass that nobody needs to see. So there we go, got the harness just laid on, CBI's on. Did get some electrical issues, I think, chased down, so just gonna build a little connector here so I can hotwire it and put them carbs on here. We're making good progress now. So got the carbs on. Fortunately, I thought I hadn't ordered a new set of boots because these ones are hard as a rock and yeah, they're garbage. So did get some new ones on. I mean, that just makes carb installation way easier. Even for a 4-rack of carbs, it's really not hard. Missing one carb clamp, so I had to improvise. This one's a bit too wide, but I think the carb's seated down on there good enough, so I'll pull that back off once I get another one. So at the point where try and find some gas line, I guess, to hang a bottle, and still gonna build my connector here so I can hotwire this guy. After looking at the wiring diagram, it's pretty simple. So gonna find a way to get a battery to it. Go grab a set of jumper cables because I have a Harley battery which does not fit in this battery box at all. It's about double the size, so yeah, get started on that. Alright, so invariably when you work on a lot of crappy bikes, you tend to have things like this laying around. So this is you got a preheated harness. So she's got my hots on one side, everything else you need to control on the other. So we've got a resistor wired in there for security, which this bike won't need, but a lot of them do. So this guy's a 7-pin, that guy's a 6. So I'm gonna de-pin this guy real quick and get her plugged together. Other than that, that's my battery for tonight, I suppose. Because I'm short on battery cables, it seems. They've grown legs and fucked off again. So get this guy changed up a little bit and keep going from there. Yeah, so I got a hot wired here. We got some dash lights on, which is good. Ideally, I'd just like to see it crank. So you can see 2 hots connected to everything else. This has been kind of monkey dicked back here, so where you normally have a 30 amp fuse and I believe wiring for a starter relay. So you just put an eyelet on it. So if you grab her here, and get it up in there, I can hear the starter motor wanting to turn over, but with that battery charger, it's not gonna have near enough amperage to do it. So I'm gonna try and get this battery hooked up. I got some alligator clamps laying around. Now, or if I can just kind of make some stuff reach, I'll build another little platform, I guess, like I did for when I started up that bike. So, yeah. So we're jumping ahead to the next night here. So last night was able to get it to crank. Well, not crank, just turn the starter over. So got to pull this cover off and have a look at the starter clutch and see, make sure the one-way bearing's intact, make sure I'm not missing anything in behind that cover. So, because it's not wanting to spin the engine over, but the engine's not locked up. I've barred it over before, so I'm gonna pull this guy off and see what's behind there. Yeah, so I got in here. Motor's spinning over good. The one-way bearing's working perfectly. I'm betting that starter's just shot and it's not spinning fast enough to grab. As well, I got in behind this cover to the ignition system and found some wires that were just pinched off, so resoldered those guys. I had just enough that I could pull it out of the cover, so got those guys done and yeah, put it back together, and see if it helped anything. Okay, so good news. In my infinite wisdom, I apparently neglected to check the wiring for the starter. So when this guy did what he did here and cut out the relay, so the reason it was spinning and not catching was because the starter was wired backwards. So put the negative cable on there and ground it, and it's just wanting to spin free with the one-way bearing. Now it's hot. Let me touch it. You can hear she's cranking just fine. So yeah, I guess I'm gonna throw some exhaust on here, just the header quick, and get that fuel hooked up. See what she'll do. And I'm gonna give it another shot here. So just got my hose ran in there. Don't got the right size fuel line, so just got that small one, and then I'm just gonna try and fill the bowls with my nitro bottle. So yeah, give it a go with that. Okay, so finally got this guy running. It did take a lot of spray to get the carbs to start pulling fuel. I'm gonna say that's normal because the carbs were absolutely dry. So I was just feeding it with a bottle. As well, one float was sticking, but I got that to kind of settle in. So what took so long with this is probably 3 nights later of me coming out here and blowing through fuses and trying to figure out wiring, because this is the worst wiring diagram in any manual I've ever read, aside from maybe Massey Ferguson tractors. Long story short, so this guy deleted this relay for the starter and it kept blowing the ignition fuse. And I know how things are supposed to be wired, but trying to figure out somebody else's thinking and how they cut up a harness and put it together. So basically ended up going back to the drawing board and feeding this an extra ground. So this guy, I already unhooked this, so I should shut the bike off, but this is your 2 grounds coming from your starter relay. So those are on the other side of your main fuse. These are your hots. So just had those guys on positive, put all these guys as well as the main chassis and starter negative to the negative, and then just bump the starter by putting the positive from the starter onto the post. So still got to go through and trace this. I think I got a short somewhere in the line, a ground anyways that keeps wanting to pop the main fuse, because I did steal one off another bike and put it on here. So as well as harness is in pretty rough shape. You can tell it's gotten hot a few times. So yeah, anyways, I know that it runs. It's got a bit of blow by, but I'm wondering if that's just some stuck rings that'll season in. I'm kind of hoping they will, but for now, I can kind of relax on this guy. I've got it running. I know the motor is good enough. Might need a top end, but that's nothing major. So yeah, I guess we'll keep on going, finding parts for this guy. And my makeshift oil cooler didn't even puke all over the place. So there's some safety wire on some fuel line, and had good oil pressure according to my gauge. So yeah, there we go. This one runs too.